All right, people, we are back with yet another episode of the Fern Chronicles podcast. Here we go. All right, so today we're going to be talking about basically what you want to do once you leave quarantine. Something that's been on my heart a lot is I follow a lot of, nature pages on Instagram, and, I watch all sorts of documentaries on, like the ocean and wildlife and so on. And something that I've noticed is that since quarantine has been activated basically all over the world, what I've seen is that nature is kind of taking back over. We're seeing, the oceans are getting much, much less pollution as people are, not out and buying stuff, dumping plastic out. They're not traveling as much, so boat traffic is way down. The emissions are way down from vehicles because people aren't flying or driving all over the place. So that was really important to me. And I guess what I wanted to talk about with you today is what you're going to do, or at least what I'm going to do, and I hope you'll do, when quarantine lifts in terms of keeping that momentum going. Something that, is very important to me is having a very, very little impact on the world. I mentioned traveling in a lot of my other podcasts so far, and it's important that everything that I see in terms of nature and, small businesses and community and, basically the planet is preserved as much as possible. So that, if I have a kid one day, hopefully he or she can experience the same things that I have. And I just don't want everything to go downhill. We hear about environmentalism and kind of the point of no return once the Earth reaches a certain point. Temperatures are just going to keep rising, wildlife is just going to keep dying, and species are going to continue to go extinct. I know this is a little bit of a heavy thing, but it's really important to me, and I kind of wanted to share with you some things that I've started doing. I've been doing actually for quite some time, but have picked up even more so during quarantine, and after everything lifts, these are some things that I wanted to carry on. So the most important thing that I've been doing that is easy and healthier is buying in bulk. For food, that is. So when I go grocery shopping, I know right now it's a little bit more difficult, as grocery stores are not having as many of their bulk sections open, but you can bring in, once quarantine lifts, you can bring in reusable jars and reusable bags and Tupperware containers that you already have and fill them up with, popcorn kernels, raw oats, rice, all sorts of things that you would typically buy in plastic that you would pretty much throw away after one use. You can literally bring in your own container and purchase all your not all your groceries, but a vast majority of your groceries, the things that you keep in the cupboard until you need them, beans, all sorts of stuff. This is something that we've been doing for quite some time, and it's great because you can get a lot more for your money, because buying in bulk, you can get organic, grains and veggies for less than sometimes the processed ones that you would find, in a jar that you would have to toss out immediately, or in a plastic bag that you would toss out as soon as you're done. And then another cool thing about doing that is that there are no preservatives, no chemicals. For the most part, obviously take that with a grain of salt. It depends on where you're getting your stuff. But, if you go to a Whole Foods or a New Seasons or just a health store and you buy in bulk and you're getting organic stuff, it's so cheap depending on what you're getting. You can get, like bulk peanuts, and you can get organic peanut butter and almond butter and all sorts of stuff that's super, super dense in calories, so it goes a long way. But it's much less expensive. So that's something that I wanted to share with you, because, when you're done with your food, you literally just wash out your container and you bring it back to the store, fill it up with new bulk, and you just kind of keep things going. So that's something that really has resonated with me, and it's become very easy, and it's second nature. I wouldn't have it any other way, because we're not dumping anything out once we're done. We are a very, very low waste family, and that was a really big change, because I'd never really done or even heard of that until recently, and it's a really awesome thing for for you to do to kind of just minimize your impact in terms of trash. Because even if you are recycling your plastics, there's only so much, that does, that it only goes so far. so much of the stuff is either not actually recyclable when it says it is. Like if you have a can of yogurt or something, if there's yogurt left over, it's basically just going to be thrown in the trash when it gets to the recycling plant. And I would definitely urge you to look up the Pacific Garbage Patch as a little bit of inspiration. It's a giant, I forget how many hundreds of miles in diameter this garbage patch is, but it's basically kind of between Japan and California, in that space there in the Pacific Ocean, right in the center where the kind of wind is a little bit more still and everything gets blown into the center there. It's this giant literal patch of just crap, just garbage that is totally polluting the Pacific Ocean, and basically all other oceans for that matter. But that's something that you can look at yourself and get some inspiration for that, and kind of see how something as simple as having a plastic water bottle on a road trip and then chucking it out, that's going to end up in your environment, and with however many billions of people are on Earth doing that every day, sometimes throwing out multiple plastic items every day, that has a huge impact. So yeah, just something, I'm not trying to be a green warrior or anything too crazy. I just wanted to let you know that that's something that you should be aware of, because it means a lot to me, and this is something that you can carry on to sort of keep that momentum going that quarantine has kind of started, of having lessened the impact of people on the environment. And getting those, those fresh foods are also great too, because they don't have any chemicals in them, right? So you're just eating raw foods. Obviously you can cook them and that sort of thing, but you're not eating the preservatives and the nitrates and all those cancer-causing and kind of brain fog causing chemicals that are just not good for you. I mean, it's just a fact. All those preservatives just don't do anything good for you. They might make your food look a little bit prettier for a little bit longer while it's just sitting in your pantry or your refrigerator, but just take it from me. It makes a very big difference on your health in terms of your energy and your longevity, as you're not getting those free radicals released into your body that often do cause cancer. So that's something that I wanted to bring up as well. And it doesn't stop at food. This one's a little silly, but in America it's not as popular. But when we were traveling abroad last summer, we kind of toured Europe. And we noticed that almost all European countries actually use bidets instead of toilet paper. So basically it's just this little stream of water that you use to clean yourself after going to the bathroom. It's typically integrated into the toilet. And then you have sort of a towel that's washable that you use to kind of dry yourself after you use it. But you get... It's weird. I know my American audience, you're probably looking at this and thinking... or listening to this and thinking that seems a little strange, and it's weird the first couple of times, but you get way cleaner. You just do. Imagine dipping your hands, in dirt and then just kind of rubbing them with a cloth rather than, or rubbing them with like a paper towel, like toilet paper, versus washing your hands with soap under the sink, and how much cleaner that is. That's the same thing after going to the bathroom. So bidets are great. They're totally efficient, and you're not buying all that paper that you're just going to literally be flushing down the toilet. And it's bleached toilet paper, right? It does have chemicals on it. That's stuff that gets released into the, into our water, into the sewage and everything. It clogs things up. And then in almost every case, toilet paper comes in plastic, right? So that's just more plastic that has to be recycled or not recycled. So it's just a big difference, It really does have an impact. And if a huge portion of the population stopped using toilet paper and went to the bidet system with a drying cloth that's rewashable, it saves you so much money. Think about it. Think about how much, a giant pack of toilet paper is, and how many times, especially if you have a family, how many times, a year you buy that. That's a lot of money spent and a lot of waste created with those products. So that's something that's very important to me. It feels cleaner. It's better. It's more efficient. Less money, less waste. Definitely would recommend using the bidet. Look into it. They're super easy to install. And I know it's, like I said, I know it's weird in the U.S., but most other countries use them, and it's just a matter of, getting used to it. It's just not the standard in this country yet, but it's definitely something that you should try out. And then another thing you can start to buy in bulk too is shampoo and conditioner. so many of those health food stores, you can literally just take in your own jar, and there's just, cast iron soap, shampoo, conditioner, all sorts of stuff. But, just read the labels on what you're getting, because you'd be surprised at how many parabens and just chemicals and multi-syllable words are on the back ingredient list of your shampoo. Things that they're literally just toxic, right? So they're getting absorbed into your skin, they're going down the drain, the fumes are in the air, all those scents and things that make the shampoo smell a little bit better, in most cases, are literally just lab-created chemicals, and they're not good for you. So I would highly recommend getting some kind of organic, just fewer ingredient shampoo and conditioner, and creating your own washing detergent is great. There are so many recipes you can find online and on Pinterest where you create your own soaps in giant jars. It's so cheap. It is so much cheaper to do it this way, with some cast iron soap and a few other ingredients and maybe some essential oils to kind of make it smell a little bit better. But you can do that. You can get rid of those, blatantly toxic chemicals and have a much, much healthier alternative for your soaps, for your, for your hand soap, dishwashing soap, shampoo, conditioner, all that, stuff to wash your floors and your countertop. You can make that so easily, and it becomes something that you can do with your family or kind of create a little bit of a hobby out of it. It's a gigantic difference. You feel so much better. It cleans just as well as those chemicals, but leaves you feeling better afterwards, knowing that not only did you, save all that plastic and the chemicals, but you made something yourself, and there's a lot more satisfaction that I always get out of those types of situations. So that's basically it in terms of getting started. I highly recommend just doing your research and thinking about how you can maybe have as small of an impact as possible while still having a very healthy life. You're not where you don't have to go hungry or anything. You can eat as much as you want, obviously, but think about where your food is coming from, what kind of impacts it have. I don't personally eat meat, but if you do, maybe try to do like a locally sourced, stick away from those big companies like Tyson and Monsanto, where they're just pumping their animals full of hormones, growth hormones and antibiotics and things, because what they eat, you literally are what you eat, right? So if you're ingesting that stuff and you have sick animals, animals with antibiotics, that lowers your immune system and renders, if you do get really sick, that'll render your ability to fight off infection, especially if you do have to get antibiotics. That'll render your system much less capable, because everything inside of you, your sort of microbiome, the viruses and the bacteria and stuff that's inside of you now, is growing resistant to that just because of the food that you're eating. So prepare your body by eating healthy. I always try to go local, support local businesses, because those are your friends, those are your families and your neighbors that you see down the street. That's really what matters, right? Rather than dumping all of that money into big companies like the Amazon delivery services, where you have a few very, very, very rich people that are sort of riding on the backs of their warehouse workers making close to minimum wage. Instead of doing that, although you might save a couple of bucks, it's so much healthier for you and for your communities to just buy local, buy things that are organic and come from the earth rather than a laboratory in terms of chemicals and preservatives and things, because it makes a very big difference. So I will leave y'all with that. Thank you so much for joining me again. As always, I am uploading to YouTube, to Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and a few others. So feel free to look for me on whichever media is most convenient for you. I always appreciate any sort of feedback, any comments on YouTube. If you want to subscribe and comment, if you have any suggestions or questions that you might want to have covered at a future podcast, let me know. I'm very happy to talk to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.